Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Mr. Pad, Paramahansa Parivajaka Ashtotar Tadashi Srimad is Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivajaka Ashtotar Tadashi Srimad is Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So, I'm sorry I didn't make it last night. I had a little health problem. I had some vertigo and I was nauseous, but I think I'm okay now. I'm not sure what it was, but might have been food poisoning or something, I don't know. But here I am. Hopefully I'll be able to go for another 3,000 days straight without any problem. I was wondering when you would get back. Welcome back. Okay, so we're in chapter 13. And are we at 15 or 14? Who remembers? You weren't here.
It was 14.
14? Okay. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 24th day of November 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Text number 14 at the bottom of page 544. Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvato Akshi Shiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimal Loke Sarvam Avritya Tishtati Sarvatak Paniparang Tat Sarvato Chishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimal Loke Sarvamavritta Tishtati Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvatok Shishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvatok Shishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati. Ladies. Sarvatak Panipadam Tat Sarvato Chishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvato Chishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvato Chishiro Mukham Takshutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati. Want to try? Go ahead. Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvato Chishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati. Anyone on this side want to try? Sarvatak Paniparam Tat Sarvato Shishiro Mukham Sarvatak Shutimalloke Sarvamavritta Tishtati. Do we have another mic? There's only one today? Okay. All right, word by words. Sarvatak, everywhere. Pani, hands. Padam, legs. Tat, that. Sarvataha, everywhere. Akshi, eyes. Shita, heads. Mukham, faces. Sarvatak, everywhere. Shutimat, having ears. Loke, in the world. Sarvam, everything. Avrita, covering. Tishtati, exists. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Purport. As the sun exists, diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the Supersoul, or Supreme Personality of Godhead. He exists in his all-pervading form, and in him exist all the individual living entities, beginning from the first great teacher, Brahma, down to the small ants. There are unlimited heads, legs, hands, and eyes, and unlimited living entities. All are existing all are existing in and on the Supersoul. Therefore, the Supersoul is all-pervading. The individual soul, however, cannot say that he has his hands, legs, and eyes everywhere. That is not possible. If he thinks that under ignorance he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over, but when he attains to proper knowledge, he will come to that stage, his thinking is contradictory. This means that the individual soul, having become conditioned by material nature, is not supreme. The Supreme is different from the individual soul. The Supreme Lord can extend his hand without limit. The individual soul cannot. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that if anyone offers him a flower or a fruit or a little water, he accepts it. If the Lord is a far distance away, how can he accept things? This is the omnipotence of the Lord. Even though he is situated in his own abode, far, far away from earth, he can extend his hand to accept what anyone offers. That is his potency. In the Brahma Samhita 537, it is stated, Goloka eva nivasakta kilatma bhuta. Although he is always engaged in pastimes in his transcendental planet, he is all-pervading. The individual soul cannot claim that he is all-pervading. Therefore, this verse describes the Supreme Soul, the Personality of Godhead, not the individual soul. Om jnana timarandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshur unmilatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So it helps if we refer back again to Arjuna's original questions. The whole chapter begins with two questions from Arjuna. Now one question, one verse of questions. Oh my dear Krishna, this is verse 1. I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge. And Krishna answers in each of those systematically. This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. And then Krishna says, but I am also the knower in all fields. In other words, Krishna is, there's two knowers in every body, the individual soul and the super soul. The super soul, as described here, it's the same super soul in every body, but the souls are different. So we have our individuality. So then he's going to explain Prakriti. What is this? That I think in a few verses he's going to give that in detail. And now he's explaining some of what the super soul is, like in contrast to the individual soul. And Prabhu makes it clear. But we're one and different. This phrase, achintya bheda bheda tattva. This is introduced by Lord Chaitanya to describe how everything and everyone is one with and different from the Lord, from Krishna. And it's a difficult concept to grasp at first. If we're one with, how can we be different? If we're different, how can we be one? But we're simultaneously one. So how are we one? We're one in quality. We have quality of Krishna. What qualities? We're conscious, he's conscious. We have senses, he has senses. We have intelligence, he has intelligence. All of that. But his is infinite, and ours is infinitesimal. Infinitesimal. We're limited by 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. And that's kind of a rough estimate. I think we're even smaller than that. As soon as I heard that, I said, well, wait a minute. What kind of hair? Black hair is a lot thicker than blonde hair, isn't it? I think I learned that. Anyway, it's very small. If you find at the tip of a hair in your microscope, it's pretty small, then you divide that by 10, and that little one by 10, and that little one by 10, and 10 one. So it's infinitesimal. But even though we're infinitesimal, we still have consciousness, we still have subtle senses and all of these different things. But it's important to realize that we're eternally different from the super soul. We can't become the super soul. We can't become Krishna. And our function is to act like we are, like the famous part and parcels. And the example is all our senses, like this hand is part and parcel of my body, right? And if it's doing its proper thing, it's acting according to my will. And then the hand flourishes. The famous, analogy: if the hand puts the food in the stomach, or in the mouth, and goes to the stomach, then the hand is fed. If the hand tries to enjoy separately, that famous story that the senses went on strike. Remember that? We used to put a play on like that. There was a devotee who did a play right here. So he had a table, I think maybe one of the table like this, and there was a big bowl of fruit on there, And so he was acting like the senses rebelling, on strike. We can enjoy separately, So the hand, he's crouching down here and he's reaching up into the bowl and grabbing an apple or a banana, I forget which it was, Now he didn't crush it up into but that was the idea, he was trying, and how could he enjoy it? He couldn't enjoy it. The only way the hand can enjoy the banana is if he uses his friend, the other hand, peels the banana and puts it into the stomach, into the mouth and go into the stomach. Then the nourishment can get to the hand. So similarly, when we try to enjoy separately, we cut ourselves off from the source of eternal life and unlimited happiness and enjoyment. We're out of our actual nature. We're not living our nature. So the whole point is that in Bhagavad Gita, the distinction between the Supersoul and the soul, between Bhagavan and the individual soul, is emphasized. And here, this is everywhere: his hands and legs, his eyes and heads, his faces, he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Now, this reminds me, of course, of Krishna's name as Rishikesha. Rishikesha, he's the master of our senses. And when we remember that, I feel, well, okay, if this sense is going to act according to its nature, it should be engaged in service of the Supreme Lord. And then actually we become pleased. We find out that we can enjoy, like anything, when we're in our constitutional position as service. When we try to be independent, this is when we get into trouble. We cut ourselves off from the source of eternal happiness, eternal life, you see? And we're trying to live as if, the crazy thing is if we'll live forever. This is a famous question. When Yudhishthira and the Pandavas were out in the forest, and they needed some water. So they sent one after another. He sent one of his brothers out, and I think maybe Arjun went first. And he found a nice pool of water, and first he wanted to do was take a drink, but then notice his voice, his disembodied voice. It's actually Yamaraj. So this is my pond. You can't drink from it until you answer some questions. So Arjun said, who is that? So he took some water, and immediately he fainted. Same thing happened with Bhima, same thing happened with Nakala and Sahadev, So now all of his brothers are gone, Kunti's off in the corner, and so was it Draupadi? Maybe it was Draupadi. Huh? They were both there, Draupadi and Kunti, yeah. So then Yudhishthira went himself. Now Yudhishthira is Dharma personified. So although he wanted to take a drink, when he heard the voice, he said, oh, it's not my pool, so let me answer the questions. It was actually his father. I don't think he realized that. Huh? A yaksha?
Yeah.
I thought it was Yamaraj. In the form of a yaksha. So it's actually Yamaraj, the form of a yaksha. Anyway, the disembodied voice says, okay, this is your pond, so I'll answer the questions. So he kept asking the question. Then one of the questions, I don't know, they're all interesting, but the most famous one is, what's the most amazing thing in this world? So then he answers, Ahanya hani bhutani gachandihi yamalayam sheshikstavanamichanti kimaschayam atakaram param. So day after day, human beings are dying and being dragged off to be judged to Yamaraj, Yamalayam, to Yamaraj's place. But those who are left here, I think, are living in such a way, they know, and of course it'll eventually come to them, but they're living in such a way that as if it won't happen to them. He says, oh, my grandfather died, my poor brother died, but I'm still around, I'll live forever. But it's insanity. So therefore, Krishna says in this chapter, between text 8 and 11, I think it is, or 12, Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha nadarshana. This is an essential piece of knowledge that one should always keep in the back of his mind, sometimes more in the front of his mind, that I'm facing birth, old age, disease, and death. I may be young now, but I'll become old. And eventually I'll become diseased. Or something else will happen and I'll die. I'll be. So now we have to think, well, how am I dealing with that? Most people deal with it by put it out of their minds. That's the whole point of this verse. But that's the whole Vedic culture gives us information. No, you're not going to die. You're eternal. That's the first instruction in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Dehi nosmin yata dehe. Just as we've changed bodies in this one incarnation, right? No one here has the same body they had 10 years ago, right? And so our body will eventually change, and it'll die. It means that it's just a machine and eventually it breaks down like every other machine. But we don't die. That's why I have that famous line by that famous poet. Every body dies. You have to make the point that this. You know who called me today? Gorkeshava, just to find out how I was doing. Maybe he didn't see me. You know, I was sick for a day. So his daughter had written me, I think it was on my birthday, a big sheet illustrating that poem. She liked that. Everybody dies. But she didn't quite get the the words right. First thing is everybody, you know, but it's not everybody. It's everybody. The word everybody is not actually pronounced like everybody. You pronounce it everybody. Anyhow, every single body dies, whether it's a human being, an elephant, an ant, and so forth. Everyone knows that, right? So that's the point. So everybody dies, but nobody dies. No soul dies. That's the whole idea. So then the idea is wake up and open your eyes. Now the next part she didn't get right either. You're not that body. The contraction Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, meaning you are. She didn't understand that. It's just you are, Y-O-U-R. Anyway, the mood was there. I should say that. You're not that body. You're pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. Practically, that's the theme song of this Hare Krishna movement. When we act as if we're this body, we're in total illusion. And we're simply progressing, assuring our rebirth. And as obviously in this age, Kali Yuga, with people, their senses are out of control, nobody's following Dharma, it's very likely that we'll lose the human form of life, which is the greatest danger. So, but the implication of the fact that we're not the body, we're part and parcel of God, and that our original nature is to serve God, think of God all the time, and serve Him just like the hand serves the body, and then we'll be happy, then forever, and we won't die in that. That relationship never dies. That's the only way we can become immortal. So this chapter is giving us more details about Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetragya, all of these questions that Arjuna had, simply to flesh out some of the things that have already been mentioned in previous chapters. But it's a very important chapter. So he's describing this super soul, that his hands and legs, because the super soul is in the body. So in essence, he's also the master of our senses. It should be. You know, he's giving us knowledge. He's giving us remembrance, right? How we can. He's the source of the consciousness that we're using in this body. So he's meant to be the master of it, and we'll be happy if we engage in his service. So he's all pervading, and not even just in every body, but in every atom. It's inconceivable. You have these three expansions of Krishna. One is actually Vishnu Tattva, the super soul, but the other Brahma and Shiva. Okay, and each is in charge of a different mode of nature, if you will. Brahma for passion, Shiva for ignorance, which has to destroy this world. Brahma has to create it, and Vishnu for maintenance, which is the most difficult. So how is he maintaining? He's all pervading. He's maintaining all living beings by giving them the intelligence how they can act in that body. Right? But the intelligence he gives to the ant is not the same as intelligence he gives to the human being, because we have a bigger brain. So in that way, he's all-pervading, and he's also sustaining this world. And each atom has a super soul in it. So this is how he's all-pervading in all of these different ways. Okay. Now, Prabhupada quotes the Brahma Samhita here, Golova Ekadnava Satchikidatna Bhuta. Although he's always engaged in pastimes in his transcendental planet, he is all-pervading. So this ability to expand, we don't have that. You know, they expand in unlimited forms. He's enjoying in Goloka Vrindavan right now. But at the same time, he's standing on the altar here as a deity. And he's in our hearts as a super soul. So this is God. You can see how stupid it is, you know, this idea that you can be God. These other yoga students, you know, it's such a cheating process. It's crazy. Okay, if there are no questions, comments, we'll go on. More description of that super soul. Sarvendriya gunabhasam Sarvendriya vivarjitam Asaktam sarva bhritchaiva Nirgunam gunabhoktracha. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time he is the master of all the modes of material nature. Purport: the Supreme Lord, although the source of all the senses of the living entities, doesn't have material senses like they have. Actually, the individual souls have spiritual senses, but in conditioned life, the senses are covered with the material elements, and therefore the sense activities are exhibited through matter. The Supreme Lord's senses are not so covered. His senses are transcendental and are therefore called nirguna. Guna means the material modes, but his senses are without material covering. It should be understood that his senses are not exactly like ours. Although he is the source of all our sensory activities, he has his transcendental senses, which are uncontaminated. This is very nicely explained in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.19 in the verse Apanipado Javano Grahita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no hands which are materially contaminated, but he has his hands and accepts whatever sacrifice is offered to him. That is the distinction between the conditioned soul and the super soul. He has no material eyes, but he has eyes. Otherwise, how could he see? He sees everything, past, present, and future. He lives within the heart of the living being, and he knows what we have done in the past, what we are doing now, and what is awaiting us in the future. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. He knows everything, but no one knows him. It is said that the Supreme Lord has no legs like us, but he can travel throughout space because he has spiritual legs. In other words, the Lord is not impersonal. He has his eyes, legs, hands, and everything else, and because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we also have these things. But his hands, legs, eyes, and other senses are not contaminated by material nature. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms that when the Lord appears, he appears as he is by his internal potency. He is not contaminated by the material energy because he is the Lord of material energy. In the Vedic literature, we find that his whole embodiment is spiritual. He has his eternal form called Satchidananda Vigraha. He is full of all opulence. He is the proprietor of all wealth and the owner of all energy. He is the most intelligent and is full of knowledge. These are some of the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the maintainer of all living entities and the witness of all activity. As far as we can understand from the Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord is always transcendental. Although we do not see his head, face, hands, or legs, he has them, and when we are elevated to the transcendental situation, we can see the Lord's form. Due to materially contaminated senses, we cannot see his form. Therefore, the impersonalists, who are all materially affected, cannot understand the personality of Godhead. So, the super soul, of course, isn't even the most complete aspect of Krishna. Bhagavan, is separate. But it's essential for us to understand his function and his presence everywhere. I remember reading the introduction. Some of the things stand out, from the first time I read it. Prabhupada makes the point that the Super Soul knows everything that we've done and everything we're doing now and everything, in the future. And we should not forget this. We should not forget this. This is how we embrace Maya. We forget that. We willfully forget our relationship with the Lord. It's there in so many verses, turning one's face away from Krishna. Bhayam dvadiya banabeshadak said, Isha dapetasya viparhiyo vasmati. Isha, from the Lord, turning away and forgetting, and then being caught up in the dualities. This is good, this is bad, this is pleasure, this is pain, And so and it causes great fear. Once we forget and we break our tie to the Lord, because it can't be broken, but we forget it, then it's us against the unlimited material energy. Naturally there's going to be fear, there's going to be anxiety, there's going to be lamentation, there's going to be frustration, because we're cut off from our source of real power. So it makes sense to try to investigate this science of bhakti, by which we systematically turn toward the Lord and also try to engage our mind, our senses, intelligence, everything in service to Krishna. This is the real meaning of yoga. Now we're disengaged. Of course we're depending on the Lord at every moment for our next breath, our life, but we're forgetting that. We have this illusion of independence. And that illusion of independence is what keeps us bound to this cycle of birth and death, life after life. So having this better human intelligence, it behooves us to inquire from the right sources. The Bhagavad Gita as it is, the pure devotee who's written the purports, and the devotees who are embodying this science and giving us great examples. It's so important to have that good association. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. By the association of devotees, we get inspired to perform sadhana in a strict way and advance in devotional service. So, it continues with the Supreme Truth. This is all by way, if you think back to answering Krishna's question, Arjun's question, what does this field, what is the knower of the field? And of course, Krishna, he said there's more than one knower. I am also the knower in this field. And so he's expanding on that. He's describing the Supersoul now. And he also is going to describe the Chaitra in more detail, I think. Yeah. Okay. So, are we on 16? Bahirantashta bhutanam acharam charamevacha sukshmadvatara vigyayam durastam chantike chatat. The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Purport. In the Vedic literature, we understand that Narayan, the Supreme Person, is residing both outside and inside of every living entity. He is present in both the spiritual and material worlds. Although he is far, far away, still he is near to us. These are the statements of Vedic literature. Asino duram vrajati shayano yati sarvatak, Kata Upanishad 1:221. And because he is always engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how he is enjoying his full opulence. We cannot see or understand with these material senses. Therefore, in the Vedic language, it is said that to understand him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness in devotional service can see him constantly. It is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see him always, without cessation. And it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 11:54 that he can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya. That's in 11th chapter. And in the 18th chapter, of course, we have Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tattvataha. He emphasizes that point. Only by bhakti can I be understood. Why? Because it's our real knowledge of Krishna comes through revelation. Revelation, not through our ability to investigate by the ascending process. You can only get a distorted understanding of that. And that's why these cheating religions, you know, which really don't have the complete understanding of God, and are kicked out, beginning of Bhagavatam. That's very important. Bhagavatam is just expanding on the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So this, did I do 16? I did 16. So Brahma Samhita, this famous verse, Premanjana chudita bhakti vilochanena santak sadaiva dayesha viloki yanti yang shama sunnadama chindugana sarupam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. One of the most famous verses there. Those who have anointed their eyes with prema, attain prema or love for Krishna, can always see the Lord within and without. Chudita bhakti vilochanena santa, the saints, santak sadaiva hridayeshu vilokiyanti. They see Krishna constantly within the heart. Yang shama sundara namachintugana sarupam. That shama sundara aspect of Krishna, all attractive. Hare Krishna, thanks for visiting. And why do they see him always? Because at every moment, they don't want to lose touch with Krishna. And they feel that service, and that they can commune with Krishna at every moment in that way. And that gives you a solid standing in as we read way back in chapter 5. What is it? Vaya sparsheshu asaktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham sab brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnite. So Brahman applies to all the aspects of Krishna. The Supreme Brahman, Para Brahman is Krishna. So there it says, Vaya sparsheshu asaktatma, not attached to the sense gratification. Vaya sparsheshu means literally touching. Asaktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham. One can come to that point when you're always enjoying the pleasure within. Communing with Krishna is in your heart. Vindatyatmani is sab Brahma yoga yuktatma. Brahma in the broadest sense, the Supreme Personality of God in your heart. Brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. No materialist can fill the bill. Sukham akshayam ashnute, always enjoying unlimited happiness, unbroken happiness. Doesn't exist on the material plane. It's always, you know, aspiring for something, experiencing it, and then it's done, you know. And now what? Now I'm bereft. Then you try something else, another thing. It's as says in the next verse. The Buddhas, those who are intelligent, do not try to engage in the sense gratification, the contact of the senses with the sense objects. Such pleasures are the sources of all misery, and they have a beginning and end, and so the wise do not take part in them. So, but we have to enjoy. If we're not enjoying, then we can't live. So therefore we have to learn how to enjoy through serving Krishna, and especially through hearing and chanting about Krishna, especially Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna mantra, Lord Chaitanya's gift. Okay. Moving on, 17. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam vivachastitam bhutabhatra tathaghyayam kvasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. Purport. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. Does this mean that he has become divided? No. Actually, he is one. The example is given of the sun. The sun at the meridian, means noon, is situated in its place, But if one goes for 5,000 miles in all directions and asks, where is the sun? Everyone will say that it is shining on his head. In the Vedic literature, this example is given to show that although he is undivided, he is situated as if divided. Then there's also that other one of the, you go out to the beach and you put like 100 pots down at noon. And if you look in each one, you can see the sun is reflected in each one like that. Same thing. Also, it is said in the Vedic literature that one Vishnu is present everywhere by his omnipotence, just as the sun appears in many places to many persons. And the Supreme Lord, although the maintainer of every living entity, devours everything at the time of annihilation. This was confirmed in the 11th chapter, when the Lord said that he had come to devour all the warriors assembled at Kurukshetra. He also mentioned that in the form of time he devours also. He is the annihilator, the killer of all. When there is creation, he develops all from their original state, and at the time of annihilation, he devours them. The Vedic hymns confirm the fact that he is the origin of all living entities and the rest of all. After creation, everything rests in his omnipotence, and after annihilation, everything again returns to rest in him. These are the confirmations of Vedic hymns. Yato vahimani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat priyant abhisang vishanti tad brahma tad vijigyasasva. Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1.1. Hare Krishna. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it means that he devours and develops all. So, do we want to stop that devouring process? No, I don't feel like being devoured today. But the thing is, he's got all these energies, the time factor. Krishna mentioned that like 3 or 4 times. Mityu Sabhaharascharam, that's one. And several times he talks about how of course, Carlos Miloka Kshayak Pravido, we read in the 11th chapter. Carlos, time I have come to destroy everything. So how do we get time on our side? Well, we have to use the time for serving Krishna. Then time becomes our friend, you see. Oh, another day has come. Oh, it's another day. I can get closer to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. I calculated, Haridas Thakur chanted the Hare Krishna mantra. If you figure he did 192 rounds, you multiply it out, it's 20,746 times, the whole mantra. And we're doing like, what, 1,728, something like that. Just inconceivable how we can chant that. But he never got bored with it. Every name was ever fresh. You can imagine, If you actually feel the presence, you're pure enough to feel the presence of his holy name, and why should you ever stop? At least go on inside your mind, That's how we have to come to. All right, going on, the Supersoul. Text 18, right? Jyotisama bita jyotis tamasak paramuchyate Jnanam geyam jnanagamyam vidisarvasya vishtitam. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Purport. The Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the source of light in all luminous objects like the sun, moon, and stars. In the Vedic literature we find that in the spiritual kingdom there is no need of sun or moon, because the effulgence of the Supreme Lord is there. In the material world, that Brahma Jyoti, the Lord's spiritual effulgence, is covered by the Mahatattva, the material elements. Therefore, in the material world, we require the assistance of sun, moon, electricity, etc. for light. But in the spiritual world, there is no need of such things. It is clearly stated that in the Vedic literature that because of his luminous effulgence, everything is illuminated. It is clear, therefore, that his situation is not in the material world. He is situated in the spiritual world, which is far, far away in the spiritual sky. That is also confirmed in the Vedic literature. Aditya Varnam Tamasak Padastat. Svedashra Upanishad 3.8. He is just like the sun, eternally luminous, but he is far, far beyond the darkness of this material world. His knowledge is transcendental. The Vedic literature confirms that Brahman is concentrated transcendental knowledge. To one who is anxious to be transferred to that spiritual world, knowledge is given by the Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart. One Vedic mantra in the Svedashtra Upanishad 6.18 says, Tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshur vai sharanam aham papadje. One must surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he at all wants liberation. As far as the goal of ultimate knowledge is concerned, it is also confirmed in Vedic literature. Tameva vididvati mrityumeti. Only by knowing him can one surpass the boundary of birth and death. Shvetashvara Upanishad 3.8. He is situated in everyone's heart as the Supreme Controller. The Supreme has legs and hands distributed everywhere, and this cannot be said of the individual soul. Therefore, that there are two knowers of the field of activity, the individual soul and the supersoul, must be admitted. One's hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna's hands and legs are distributed everywhere. This is confirmed in the Shvetashvara Upanishad 3.17. Sarvasya prabhum ishanam sarvasya sharanam brihat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul, is the Prabhu, or Master, of all living entities. Therefore, he is the ultimate shelter of all living entities. So there is no denying the fact that the Supreme Supersoul and the individual soul are always different. Okay. You know, sometimes you wonder why does Prabhupada keep, emphasizing that we're different from the Supersoul? Because that's the main argument. You've got the Maya bodies and so many others, trying to convince us that we are the Supreme. We are Brahman. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. But that's a cheating religion, because if you think you are the Supreme, then there's no question of trying to develop a loving service attitude toward the Supreme. You should serve me. I'm the Supreme. So Prabhupada was at war with that, the whole time he was preaching, because he would confront that in America, different bogus yogis, and but he proved that one can actually, achieve this sense of peace and happiness and joy by taking up the role as a servant of the Supreme, which is our natural role. It's unnatural to try to be the master. We're just not the masters, we're the eternal servants. Ekale Ishvara Krishna ar Sababhricha. This is one of the nice little Bengali phrases from the CC. There is one Ishvara, real controller, ultimate controller, and it's Krishna. And all others dance according to his, beat. That's part of the verse. All others are his servants. The problem is that when you get that false ego, that you've built up, it's hard to believe or hard to understand that false ego of yours is going to give you a lot of grief, But if you actually develop the real ego as a servant of God, then you can really enter your happiness and peaceful life. And even death becomes simply a doorway that you're entering, through to the spiritual world. Not the end of all that I've treasured and everything, No. Your relationship with Krishna goes on. And we've seen it even, amongst our own devotees, how peacefully they could pass if they're really Krishna conscious. Okay, one more. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the time factor. Okay. You come just in time for our little poetic coda, the poetic coda of Dravida's class. I'm thinking I should start doing this in my morning classes. What do you think? Would that be too controversial? All right. Our favorite verse. You all know this one. Everybody dies. Nobody dies. Wake up and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. What more do you need? Okay, and here is a verse that has no Sanskrit. This was written to illustrate Krishna's swinging on the swing in Vrindavan forest amongst his boys. For Krishna and his multitude of friends, a festival of joy each day would bring. A special thrill in Braj's forest glens was riding with him high upon a swing. O Ujjala, Sridhama, Bhadrasena, just see Vrindavan's bountiful delights. The peacock's dance, the songbird's sweet refrain, the lakes and hills and other scenic sights. All these make this the best place on the earth for us to play all day and herd the cows. Thus Krishna, in a mood of sportive mirth, enthused his friends while swinging from the boughs. Okay. Oh, we have plenty of time for one more. Which one? Radhe Nama? Okay. Special request. Radhe Nama Navasundadasinu Mugdham Krishneti Nama Marodabhutagara Dugdham Savakshanam Sudabiragahi Mena Rumyam Kritnvata Daiba Bibame Rasane Chudharte. Bhagavad Gita Goswami, praise. An excellent fresh nectar drink with endless subtle tastes, such is the name of Radha, by whom all three worlds are graced. Condensed milk that is wonderfully delicious, thick and sweet, such is the name of Krishna, in whom all attractions meet. Thou mix these drinks, O thirsty tongue, and add the cooling, fragrant spice of love, a prize the wise will try to buy at any price. And then at every moment drink this beverage most fine, and make my heart supremely blissful, peaceful, and divine.